The first scare is oftentimes the best scare. So imitations, replications, or reimaginings aren't always necessary. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down another top 10 worst horror movie remakes. For this list, we've picked movie remakes in the horror genre based on a mix of their lack of originality, negative reviews, poor acting or production, as well as those that seemed completely unnecessary or that were redone only to make money. If you didn't see a film you thought should be on the list, be sure to check out our first video of the top 10 worst horror movie remakes. Number 10. House of Wax.
Hey, Wax Museum.
When you decide to remake one of the best-regarded horror films of the 1950s, starring horror heavyweight Vincent Price, and one of your biggest-known names in the cast is Paris Hilton, you know something is not right.
Lip balm. I dropped my stupid lip balm.
She dropped her lip balm.
Horribly acted and very by the numbers, this new version of House of Wax lacks any of the charm of the original.
I'd put in a chamber of horrors. Murder, torture, execution, scare the living daylights out of people. I don't care for that kind of patronage.
Let's go see your famous House of Wax.
And other than the title, it had little to nothing to do with the 1953 flick of the same name. Whoever came up with the idea to use the title of a legendary film for an unrelated project was a silly, silly person, as the film had nothing to gain from the comparisons and everything to lose.
Okay, this is getting kind of creepy.
This 2005 American-Australian horror never stood a chance.
What about Wade? I think he has him too. What if he turns into wax?
What do you mean wax?
You don't get it. They're all wax. Everyone.
Number 9. Friday the 13th. With 8 films in this franchise made during the 80s alone, was a reboot of Friday the 13th in the 21st century really that necessary?
What are you talking about?
The 2009 slasher is the 12th installment and gives us a bit of a look into the past of the hockey mask-wearing serial killer Jason Voorhees. But mostly, it follows as he kidnaps a young girl that reminds him of his mother and terrorizes and murders a group of friends camping at Crystal Lake. While it did quite well at the box office, the same could not be said about its reviews, with critics and audiences targeting its lack of real scares, instances of humor, and anything else usually associated with a good horror flick. Ow! Number 8. The Island of Dr. Moreau.
What are you giving me?
Oh, you'll like it. I like it.
H.G. Wells' 1896 novel had already been adapted 2 times before this John Frankenheimer-directed version hit our movie screens. And considering the amount of negative reviews it earned, as well as the fact that the studio ended up losing money on the production, then 2 movies were probably enough.
This is the most outrageous spectacle I have ever witnessed.
Though the cast boasted actors like Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer, the 1996 sci-fi horror flick had a hard time finding its focus and was uneven at best.
Has it ever occurred to you might have totally lost your mind? I mean, this is just satanic.
Plagued with set issues, The Island of Dr. Moreau also nabbed half a dozen Razzie nods when it was all said and done.
Well, permit me, Mr. Douglas, to tell you something of the devil as I've come to know him. The devil is that element in human nature that impels us to destroy and debase.
And what are you about upon this island but destruction and debasement?
Number 7. The Wolfman.
And so, as the Bible says, he was made as unto a wolf and cast out from men. A beast has come among us. But God will defend his faithful.
One of a select few characters that helped pioneer the horror movie genre, the Wolfman's time in the spotlight seems to have passed him by these days, with much dust gathering on his fur. Unlike his compatriot Dracula, who gets reimagined seemingly yearly.
But the character of man is such a shiftable thing.
If anyone could have envisioned how disappointing this version would be for a new generation, then it probably never would have been made.
The wounds are so terrible that only something human would seem capable of such wanton malevolence.
Not even the immensely talented Benicio del Toro could save the mediocrity of this boring, long-winded remake.
It's Gwen. Lawrence, it's Gwen. Please.
Number 6. The Hitcher.
You okay?
Yeah. We almost killed him.
The Hitcher may not be the most renowned horror film in history, but for anyone who has seen the 1986 version, they'll know just how much of an embarrassment the early 21st century remake is.
Oh my God, it's him.
Keep driving.
I'm driving. What does he want?
In the original, an innocent man is on the run from a maniac who will stop at nothing to get him. And every second of it ratchets up the tension, with it all coming to a satisfying end.
Hi, kid.
Too slick for its own good, the polish with which the later movie is put together strips audiences of the ability to relate with the protagonist and ultimately care about the film.
Please, please don't take him. Please, please, just stop hurting him. Please.
You useless waste.
Number 5. Black Christmas.
How'd you get in here? The door was open. I was looking for the children's ward and I got lost.
The best thing we can say about this film is that you can rest assured during the unpleasant experience of watching it that it's unlikely to stick with you when it's over.
Excuse my language, but I drove all the way out here in this shitty weather. I blew off a weekend in Vail with a cardiologist, which is...
I love that coat.
Bringing very little new to the genre, Black Christmas doesn't even manage to embrace its sorority house location and strive for overt sexuality to make up for its obvious deficiencies.
Isn't sex enough, Kyle? You need a little visual trophies to get your throat.
Shut the f*** up!
Hey, go, Kyle, now!
Tedious and stupid. We can only hope they had a fun time on set, since nobody watching it will.
Whatever, Melissa, okay? I'm just offended by a pagan sacrifice to ward off evil spirits on Christmas.
Heather, we're just having a little bit of fun. Christmas is more about warding off evil spirits than Halloween. What Christmas shit in this room resembles anything Christian, huh? It's all neo-pagan magic.
Number 4. The Haunting.
He's still hunting them. But if I'm here, he can't harm them.
Nominated for 5 Razzie Awards, including Worst Picture, Director, and Screenplay, it's safe to say this film was not at all well received by critics.
Oh, jeez.
Christ, I need a drink.
At the time of The Haunting's release, it was the film with the biggest opening weekend of all time that did not break $100 million at the domestic box office. And this is a testament to the horrible word of mouth surrounding it.
That's why you brought us here? That's what this is all about?
You brought us here to scare us, is that it?
Yes.
Disliked by the masses and critics alike, the failure this remake achieved was grand in scale, even if its story wasn't.
Well, actually, that makes for a very good bedtime story.
Number 3. Day of the Dead.
Tell me about it.
What do you get when you combine a cast largely comprised of nobodies or has-beens with poor production values and an inconsistent script? Well, if it's a remake of a previous horror classic, you get a place on this list. Though we briefly mentioned some of the elements that make this movie so bad, all we really should have had to reveal to earn Day of the Dead its spot is the fact that it features what is possibly a vegetarian zombie.
Shit is ridiculous. I mean, why Thriller over here ain't trying to eat us?
He's a vegetarian.
Don't believe us? Don't worry, we watched the film and still barely believe it ourselves.
All I'm saying, as long as he don't try to mistake me for a soybean burger, we gonna be alright.
Number 2. The Eye. Any good horror film relies on the lead performer to act as the audience's guide into the world of danger and intrigue. And the ability of the movie to scare hinges on all of this.
What am I supposed to do? Please, tell me.
So when you cast an actress that is widely considered to be lacking the ability to emote, and then have her start off feebly attempting to appear to be blind, your failure is nearly ensured.
I'm sorry?
Poorly adapted and woefully lacking scares, The Eye is a pale comparison to the 2002 original and most other horror films as well.
I'm at a Chinese restaurant on the corner of 4th and Figueroa. Something's happening to me.
Before we reveal our top pick, here are a few honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions.
No. Damon said something about 13. That there are 13 ghosts.
The 13th ghost is a failsafe.
The mirrors are merely windows on our world. It is not the wish of the mirrors to find me, but of what is imprisoned inside them. Where are you?
Number 1. When a Stranger Calls.
Listen, have you been calling me?
A remake of a film that was bookended by much potential, with an uneven middle that meanders more than it entertains.
Please do me a favor, just tell me truthfully, when was the last time you checked my children?
This film could have outshone the original far easier than most of the others on this list.
It's you, isn't it? How did you get this number? How do you know I'm in here? Did you see me out there?
All they needed to do was expand on the good parts and ignore the bad. But instead, the filmmakers largely opted to ignore all of it and delve into teenage drama and cliches. Even going so far as to ruin their own surprise scare in the trailers. There seemed to be a lack of understanding of how to scare audiences at all by the people behind this remake of When a Stranger Calls. Do you agree with our list? Which horror remake do you think is the worst? For more film top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.